Okay, so in this video, I'm going to run over how to find and reach out to people who are in your ICP who've just started a new job. So this is the campaign that we run for every client that we work with, and it always does incredibly well. And I think the reason behind that is when somebody's new in their company, they're kind of under pressure to make an impact. They want to show like early results and shake things up, and so I think that makes them way more likely to take a meeting or be willing to try something new. And so I'm going to dive into Clay, and I'll show you two different ways that we run this. Um, and yeah. Okay, so like I said, there was two ways that we normally do this within our company. The first one that I'll show you is completely automatic. So the nice thing is you set it up, and then on a monthly, weekly, whatever basis you decide, it will just look for people within your ICP who have just started working at a new company, and then you can send those, you can enrich those leads and send them into a campaign to reach out to them, and it's all fully automatic, just drip feeding. So that's the first option, which I'll show you, and then the second requires a pre-scraped list of leads. So let's say you scrape a list from Apollo. Um, it's still worth checking through that list to see if there are people who are new in the company, because you can single them out and reference that point in the emails that you use to reach out to them. And so that second option basically uses Clayagent and a couple of other little funky bits to find those people within your list, and then filter them out. And so I'll go over method one first. So I've put together some example companies. These are just a list of massive companies in the US. And so Clay actually has a built-in functionality for finding new hires within a company. It does cost credits, and you actually could get away with using the find people function if you didn't want to spend anything on credits. This option here, and you can actually just set the experience to whatever, say a max of 3 months or something. But the downside with this is this data isn't as up to date, and so I feel like with this kind of signal, time is of an essence. It's the same as reaching out to somebody who has a new job hire. After a certain period of time, it's just not going to pack a punch. And so the sooner that you can reach out to them, the better. And so you basically need to have a list of companies that you want Clay to be checking on a frequent basis. So you can either connect up a CSV, you can connect it to your CRM, or you just connect it to a table, which is what we're going to do here. Um, and so once it's connected up, you can set the identifier. So this is basically just like what is Clay using to know which company it's checking. The company LinkedIn is always the best way to go if you've got it. Then you need to be defining the persona of the person or the people that you want to be uh, looking for to see if they've started their new jobs. So just like you would creating a search for anything else, you can go ahead and define that. Just for speed, we'll just set like, I don't know, let's do finance managers. There's got to be a ton of those in these big companies. And so you define the persona that you're looking for, and then you just click next, and then you'll be able to set your frequency. And so obviously, I don't think in most cases you need to do any more frequent than monthly unless your TAM is absolutely massive. And then bi-weekly could be really, really good. But I think most of the time we just run it on a monthly basis. It's still soon enough that it's going to feel relevant to them. They probably haven't taken a lot of action in their first 30 days. They're still going to be getting settled into the company. And so as you can see, it's shown as a preview of some leads. I'm not going to set this up because it's just a waste. I actually made one earlier. And so here you go. Just to show you what it looks like when you get these leads running. So you can actually go in and edit the signal at any time, mess around with all the persona details, and you can turn it on and off, change the frequency, filter the results on like how many people within a certain company pop out and whatnot, and you get the full data on the prospect just like you would on any other database, really, or when you make a normal Clay search. So you got their experience, their LinkedIn URL, basically everything you need to then go ahead and use an email enrichment tool to find the email address. And so once you've got all that data, then we basically set this entire table up. So we get fully enriched leads by the end. We qualify them again just to make sure they're all good. The positions are the right positions and whatnot. And then we'll send them off to an email sequencer, and they just drip feed into that campaign on a monthly basis. And we reach out to them and generate many leads. So that method two relies on you having a pre-made list of leads. So let's say you scrape a list of, like we've got here, heads of human resources from Apollo for a bunch of companies that you're looking for. You'll then import them in, and you might do a ton of other personalization as you're getting ready to create a campaign for them. What we then tend to do is add in this little filter just to check if they are new in the company, because if they are, then 9 times out of 10, it's worth singling them out, sending them to a separate campaign where you can tweak the pitch and reference that you saw they were new in their company, as it's just such a good signal. So that's what we always set up, and this is how it looks. It's a bit of a waterfall. It starts with Claygen, and it basically just gets Clay to visit their LinkedIn profile and spit out the most recent job and the details around that job in their experience section. So as you can see, it's telling it to just scroll down, and then we're just getting it to spit out the data and put it into a nice, neat format. Then we have a formula that checks whether the job position that we've scraped is the same as the job position from their experience section. If it's wrong, then we go on to having Clay's built-in enrich person functionality, which does cost 1 credit per enrichment, but that will get all the experience within their LinkedIn profile. So then we run that as a fallback. And this does exactly the same. It will look and see if their most recent experience shares the same title as as the one in this table. I almost blanked then for a second. So yes, it's checking for this position that we've obviously scraped. And so if both or either of these contain the value correct, and then the date is less than 3 months, then we just get this column to spit out yes. So this is just two formulas stuck together. As a merged column. And so as you can see here, you've got some leads that are within the last 3 months. So this one is here, is in the last 3 months. As you can see, this one is in the last 3 months, but in both cases, the experience is wrong. So it's not the same position that we're reaching out on. So what we then also tend to do is go and double check that this is actually a position that they're still working. And not that, just in case this data is actually kind of out of date, especially if you're scraping from Apollo nowadays, that is quite a common issue. And so that's something that we tend to run beforehand just to avoid that. But that's, as you can see, why it hasn't spit out yes here, but we've got a couple of yeses. And so then we'd just send those off, adding them to a sequencer, send them off to a separate campaign that is already pre-made. Like I said, referencing the fact that they are new in their company. And yeah, using that as a tee up to pitch them on whatever service it is that we're selling. So hopefully that all makes sense. I know I'm a bit of a waffler, but I hope that that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Always happy to give a helping hand on any of this stuff. Yeah, appreciate you watching.